Hi, I'm Allison Soprovich. My presentation today is Incorporating Men's Voices in the Development of POWERPLAY, a workplace health promotion program. I did this along with my co-authors listed here on this slide. We are a collaborative working group out of the University of British Columbia, Athabasca University, and the University of Alberta.
I want to start with a few statistics about men's health. 70% of men's chronic health conditions are caused by lifestyle. Only 30% is genetic. Canadian men are more likely to die from cancer, diabetes, heart disease, and suicide than women. Canadian men, on average, spend 9 years of their life in poor health, which is often related to lifestyle. As well, some of this can be work-related, including stress and losing sleep. So why don't men participate in health research and health promotion programming at work? 75% of Canadian men are in paid work. However, most workplace health promotion programs are developed for office environments and/or men don't typically participate. So how can we engage them in research and participation? We design POWERPLAY in consultation with men. It's in the workplace and endorsed by the workplace. We use humor, competition, sports analogies, and man-friendly materials in which the men played a role in their development. This may seem stereotypical, however, it's what the men talked about, enjoyed, and engaged with in our consultation groups. As a result, the POWERPLAY program has many documented successes in previous modules, such as physical activity and healthy eating. Our newest module, and the findings that I want to share with you today, it focuses on sleep health, and we call it Rest Up. All of our modules have followed this process in their development. For Rest Up, our systematic review of the workplace behavioral interventions to promote sleep health in men was published earlier this year. We found only one study out of 15 that included a gender-sensitized intervention, where men's preferences shaped the content of a stress reduction program, which resulted in improved sleep quality. This tells us that there's insufficient evidence and lack of gender-specific content and analyses in sleep health. So we concluded that next research steps should consider cultural constructions of masculinity in program design in order to strengthen the appeal and the engagement of men and optimize the health benefits for working men. Our phase 2 engaged with men specifically about sleep health. We capitalized on partnerships and recruited men who had participated in other POWERPLAY modules, as well as through social media and networks. We hosted these consultation groups, and some of the men participating were interested in helping out because they believed in the POWERPLAY program, and others just because the topic interested them. We had men from a variety of sectors participate. 20 men participated in 6 consultation groups. The sessions included verbal discussion, written exercises, visualizations, and games to engage the men. We explored their perceptions about sleep health and facilitated discussion on current and potential programming and organizational support to promote sleep health. Topics of discussion included the individual and workplace barriers and facilitators for men to achieve healthy sleep, sample messaging, potential programming ideas, workplace supports, and recruitment strategies. They weren't just regular focus groups or interviews. These were meaningful engagement of participants. So what did we find? What are some of our findings? We found that men wanted to sleep more, but they normalized the sleep deprivation and did not prioritize sleep over family and work obligations. They recognized the need for more sleep, but he said here, overall, there's so much to do in modern life. There was also a normalization of minimal sleep that reflected in organizational practices that played into masculine ideals related to resilience. There was a lot of talk about commitment to the organization. You're going to come in if they ask you to come in. You're going to stay late if they ask you to stay late. Men talked about some challenges to good sleep, and these included kind of intrusive thoughts and worries that were work and non-work related, as well as they came up with strategies to good sleep and talked about clearing their mind before bed using techniques like meditation, a good bedtime routine, self-talk, and alcohol. So here's just a couple of quotes about how they talked about minds was racing at times, and this one drink was able to relax so that you could stop thinking and just lie down. But again, with alcohol, there was this fine line. Drinking until you can't stand up, I don't think that gives you a good night's sleep, he says. When talking about workplace support, there was a couple of preferences and subtopics that came up. The idea of incentives to incentivize people to participate, to incentivize people to make sleep health a priority. And here he even talks about performance, and that relates back to performance at work. The guys also talked about designing work for sleep health at kind of a manager level. He's talking here about assigning overtime shifts, and so asking them to stick around and help out repairing things, and not talking about the impact that it might have on sleep. So they would talk about sleep in the workplace. However, they would just never rethink the design of the shifts around sleep. The guys also wanted advice, whether it was from peers or professional. They did want realistic, real-world messaging that's relatable and meaningful. Here a guy is suggesting that if there was some one-on-one time with a sleep professional that could tailor some of the information and advice to him, that would be useful. Also designing work environments for sleep using things like napping areas or some of the camp environments. The guys talked about what might help there. I should point out just a few limitations of our work. The sleep health perceptions of men in other settings and occupations should be further investigated. In addition, future studies should focus on the perceptions among managers involved in the workplace safety initiatives to understand more of the organizational context. So these findings hold some potential for future gender-sensitive programming and organizational practices to support sleep health among working men.
So our next steps in moving forward into phase 3 include program design, pilot testing at the work sites. We're very hopeful of the success due to the engagement of the men in the content and the richness of our data. This will help move the delivery and the design of the program forward. Just want to say a quick thank you to all the men who participated in our consultation groups, as well as our funding sources. Thank you.